Super Mario Bros. Wonder is by far my favorite 2D Mario game of all time, and the vast majority of the levels are extremely enjoyable. But which ones are the best, and which are the worst? This list is based on how much fun the levels are to play, and how creative and memorable they are. So without further ado, let's get started. 129. Search Party, an empty park. This really comes with no shock at all. The search parties in the game aren't very fun, and this is easily the worst one. Whoever thought jumping around trying to find hidden blocks was a good idea should really be fired. It's not fun in the slightest, and the magic vanishes very quickly. 128. Search Party, Pipe Park. I don't know who asked for a level where you endlessly enter random pipes until you stumble upon the right one to find the Wonder tokens, but it certainly wasn't me. And that's pretty much all that you do here. But you also have to push this random pipe to get a Wonder token, stand on this random pipe here, or just walk into a freaking wall to get into the foreground. Whoever designed this level is just pure evil. 127. Search Party, Puzzling Park. Calling this a puzzle is basically a crime towards actual puzzles. Just like an empty park, most of what you do here is find hidden blocks, and it's obscure as hell. The only reason it's better though is just because it's not all that you do here. It's still pretty terrible though, and not fun to do more than once. 126. Break Time, Unreachable Treasure. Look for hidden blocks and get the seed. That's literally it. The hint in the background suggesting the block layout is cool, but there's literally nothing to this one. 125. Break Time, Raise the Stage. You jump 3 times on a beat and nothing else. And of course it has to have the dumb music from Mario Sunshine. Why people like that song is beyond me, but otherwise this level is still just really boring. 124. Break Time, Hurry Hurry. Hold right and run and get the Wonder Seed. This is pretty much as basic as a 2D Mario level can get. And while it's not terrible, it's also really basic. 123. Break Time, Treasure Vault. Dig into some ground and break some crates to get the Wonder Seed. There's again nothing else to it, and it takes like 5 seconds to do. 122. Break Time, Bouncy Tunes. You bounce on musical notes to get the Wonder tokens, and it's quite fun to do. But why is there Mario Sunshine music again? It's not a bad song, but I really can't stand Mario Sunshine, so yeah. 121. Break Time, Wonder Token Tunes. It's the exact same level, but this time with music from Super Mario World. Wow, so cool. These two levels could really be interchanged, but since I don't hate Mario World, I like this level a little bit more. 120. Break Time, Trodden Piranha Plants. It's another music level, but this time you actually have to put in some effort by defeating piranha plants. It's still just literally that though, and nothing else. 119. Break Time, Lights Out. Either with or without a jumping badge, this one is just lame. It's basically a memory game where you remember the position of the platforms. While it looks interesting, it's really not. 118. Shining Fall Special, Triple Threat Deluge. Damn, that's a mouthful, and the level itself is just infuriating. The concept of this level is cool, kinda taking a pinball approach with the bumpers and bouncy pins. Well, then what do you have to do here? Avoid spiky balls that drop at random positions at ludicrous speed, and you have no way of expecting them to drop at any point. How people can honestly enjoy this level is beyond me, because I really hate this one. It feels like a complete luck game whether you even get hit or not, and even the 10 flower coins aren't fun to collect. This is the only normal level in the game which I hate. 117. Break Time, Kick It Out My Way. So you're supposed to survive the onslaught of ice blocks the Out My Way kicks at you, but instead you can just straight up kill the Out My Way, defeating the entire purpose of this challenge. 116. KO Arena, Fluff Puff Kerfuff. This KO Arena is honestly pretty terrible, mainly because the enemies here are either annoying or just boring to defeat. And the Hammer Bros at the end make it even worse. This one is just blah. 115. Search Party, Item Park. By far the best search party because you're actually solving puzzles instead of jumping around for hidden blocks for 5 minutes. You have to use the 3 power-ups to solve small puzzles, like digging into the ceiling, killing the Cheep Cheep using bubbles, or hitting the spike ball with your trunk to let it destroy the wall. It's quite fun to figure out, and definitely the best of these levels. 114. Break Time, Cloud Cover. You simply collect 5 Wonder tokens obscured by clouds while climbing a pole. It's quite fun to do because of the pole blocks timer, but again, there's nothing else to this one. 113. Break Time, Watery Wonder Tokens. Collect Wonder tokens on your way down in water. It sounds boring, but it's a bit more fun than it sounds, mostly because the stage auto-scrolls and the water sinks down. It is a bit too easy though, making it feel a little bit underwhelming. 112. Break Time, Hot Hot Rocks. You simply spray water over some burning rocks, and the Wonder Seed is your prize. The hot rocks are cool mechanics, but I wish this level did a bit more with them. It's still nothing too bad though. 111 Break Time Tumble House. The stage rotates and you once again have to collect 5 Wonder tokens. It's quite fun to do, and the level also doesn't overstay its welcome, which is quite nice. 110 Break Time Floating Wonder tokens. Just take a guess what you do here. Yep, you collect 5 Wonder tokens, and while it's still fun and enjoyable bouncing on the blooms, it doesn't get any more special than this. 109 Break Time Zip Go Round. Wonder tokens, collect 5 of them on the fast grind roll phenomenon. Very fun. Yeah, I needed to spice up the script in some way, right? Regardless, this is a very enjoyable break time level, even if it's very short. 108 Break Time River Run. The on-off switch is put to great use here, since you have to hit the switch to switch colors before the river runs into the wall. It's a very cool idea and executed really well, even if it's very short. 107 Break Time Pop-Up Hoppo. This one is pretty cool, since you have to get a hoppo into the hole by timing your jump to hit 2 springboards. It's a very novel concept and executed quite well. 106 Badge Challenge Parachute Cap 1. The very first badge challenge, and a pretty good one. You get to use the parachute cap, and the level is paced quite well and does a great job at teaching you how to use this badge. 105 Expert Badge Challenge Spring Feed 1. Another badge challenge, and be ready to see a lot of them down here. This one involves moving platforms, and that's it. It's still quite fun, but just a little bit on the basic side. 104 Expert Badge Challenge Jet Run 1. Yup, it's another badge challenge. It's all about the jet run here, and all you do is basically run off ledges and nothing else. Once again, it's very fun, but the level itself is very generic. 103 Expert Badge Challenge Invisibility 1. It's the tutorial for the invisibility badge, and it's pretty funny to see just a vase moving around and some puffs of smoke. The stage doesn't really get too creative though, which makes sense since it's just a tutorial. 102 Expert Badge Challenge Invisibility 2. If you like bouncing on mushrooms, then I guess this is the level for you. The only reason the second version of the Invisibility Badge Challenge is higher is purely because it's more fun bouncing on mushrooms, I guess. Otherwise, it's just okay. 101 Badge Challenge Dolphin Kick 2. Wait, the second version is worse? Yep, and it's mainly because this level is just avoiding a bunch of big blocks, and while it's still fun to do, it's kinda lame in comparison to the first version. 100 Badge Challenge Dolphin Kick 1. Speaking of the devil, so instead of avoiding giant blocks, you have this fun chase sequence with some talking flowers and 10 flower coins which they carry. It's quite cool, and the level is a bit more creative. 99 Badge Challenge Crouching High Jump 1. Yet another badge challenge, this time for the crouching high jump. It's a cool badge to use, and having to bounce off the long mushroom fellas to make progress or reach a 10 flower coin is quite fun. 98 Wiggler Race Swimming. This might as well have been the third badge challenge for the dolphin kick, and I'm not the biggest fan of this one. It's still a fun level, don't get me wrong, but being on the water for the majority of it does drag it down a bit. You can use the dolphin kick here, of course, but even then this level is just okay. 97 Badge Challenge Boosting High Jump 1. Oh boy, it's another badge challenge. This time it's for the boosting spin jump. This badge is so much fun to use, and the level design here is quite simple yet very enjoyable. 96 Expert Badge Challenge Jet Run 2. A much more enjoyable jet run level, as it involves tilted blocks and rising lava, and the 10 flower coins are a bit more difficult to get as well. Otherwise, it's a very similar stage. 95 Badge Challenge Grappling Vine 1. Yep, it's another badge challenge. What a surprise. I really don't know what else to say about this one, but it does do a great job at teaching you how the grappling vine works. 94 Badge Challenge Wall Climb Jump 1. Wall climbing. It's so much fun to do, and this level is a great tutorial for this badge. It's simple yet very enjoyable, and the badge is super fun to use. 93 Expert Badge Challenge Spring Feed 2. It's a much better version of the Spring Feed challenge, since this one requires a lot of tight jumps, especially near the end. Getting these jumps down right is so satisfying, and a bunch of fun to do as well. 92 KO Arena Pedal Metal. Back to the KO Arenas, this one is quite basic. You basically defeat some cheap nipper plants and mamas. If you have the bubble flower and elephant suit, this one will be a piece of cake. It's still fun, but nothing really special. 91 Badge Challenge Crouching High Jump 2. Instead of bouncing on tall mushroom enemies, you have donut blocks instead, which creates a very cool challenge since you need to jump before the donut falls down. It's still nothing really difficult though, but it is a very cool level. 90 KO Arena Pipe Rock Rumble. The very first KO Arena, and quite a fun one. You defeat Goombas, piranha plants, and bull rushes, and if you have the elephant suit, this one is a blast as you'll just run through and smack every single enemy with ease, and guiding the bull rushes off these trees is very creative. 89 Badge Challenge Grappling Vine 2. A bit better than the first version, this one involves tiny platforms with zip tracks. It's quite fun to time out when to release the vine, though I wish it was still a tad bit harder. 88 K-Arena Sunbake Skirmish. Instead of just defeating 3 types of enemies, now there's 4, including the mummies, melon piranha plants, and these face enemies. Most of these are pretty fun to defeat, but can also be very slow. And of course, they have to throw in some hammer bros at the end, as if we like defeating those. 87 K-Arena Fungi Funk. It's a slightly better K-Arena, mainly because there's no hammer bros, but also because the enemy selection is a bit better and they are a bit more fun to defeat. The tailies are very satisfying to kill, and I also love the walking doors. The wobbas are very slow though, so it can feel a bit tiresome to defeat those. It's still quite a fun KO arena though. 86 Badge Challenge Floating High Jump 1. Back to badge challenges for a bit, this time for the floating high jump. I love this badge, and this level makes great use of it as you'll need to jump over piranha plants to proceed. 85 Badge Challenge Boosting Spin Jump 2. This one has a bunch of bouncy jello, or whatever this is, and man, this level is so much fun. It's still a bit too easy and a little bit on the short side, but man, it's a bunch of fun to do. 84 Break Time Timer Switch Climb. You climb up a small stage under a time limit, but here's the thing, you can reset the timer by hitting these timer switches. This adds a nice element to this level that makes it a bit more creative and also much more enjoyable. 83 Break Time Timer Switch Dash. It's the second timer switch level, but a bit more enjoyable. I personally prefer this one, since the platform is a bit more engaging and also a little bit less awkward because you go to the right instead of up. And the fact that you have to make a bridge out of hidden blocks under a time limit at the end is also really cool. 82 Badge Challenge Parachute Cap 2. This is the first badge challenge where using the badge can get quite tough. There's many piranha plants to avoid, and the spacing is quite small, which makes it all the more enjoyable. 81 Badge Challenge Floating High Jump 2. It's the second floating high jump challenge, oh boy. This one is a bit more interesting than the first version, since it involves a moving platform and even more piranha plants. 80 Badge Challenge Wall Climb Jump 2. The best badge challenge, and mainly due to one small section. We all know about those 2 rotating red walls at the end, and getting this wall climb jump down is super satisfying. This one is a blast. 79 Leaping Smackerel. It's an underwater stage, so of course it's nothing great, but at least it's a good one for underwater standards, maybe even one of the best. The main highlight of course is the giant Smackerel jumping up from the ground and destroying the entire stage, and you have to collect 5 wonder tokens to get the seeds. It's pretty good for an underwater level. 78 Robert Cove. A slightly better water level, mainly because it's not entirely underwater. The Roberts are pretty cool as they dive into the water at an angle, and the wonder effect is pretty decent as well. The water flips upside down and the bottom of the stage becomes dry, which makes the platforming a bit more fun. 77 The Sugar Star Trawl Across the Night Sky. This gets the reward for Mario Wonder's shortest level. The Wonder Flower is behind these sugar stars, and all you do for the wonder effect is turn invincible and run right, and nothing really else. It's a fun enough level, but there's not much substance here. 76 KO Arena Magma Flare Up. The best KO arena in the game, and a really fun one. All the enemies here are really fun to defeat, especially when you have the bubble flower, and I love the room with the piranha plants and firework enemies. Overall, it's a very creative little skirmish, and a very enjoyable one. 75 Welcome to the Flower Kingdom. The first level in a game is very important, since it has to leave a good first impression of what the game is all about, and Mario Bros. Wonder does a wonderful job at teaching you what the wonder effects are all about. While the moving pipes are fairly generic, it does show you how weird this game can get, and this level also introduces the elephant suit, a phenomenal power-up that you can use here to smack some Goombas or water some flowers. This is a great start to the game. 74 Pipe Rock Plateau Palace. The very first palace in the game, and it's just okay. The main gimmick here is falling pipes during the wonder effect, and it's honestly pretty lame. And the boss fight is so basic as well. It's just a very typical Bowser Jr. fight, and all he does is make you or himself grow or shrink, and that's it. It's a fun level for what it is, but there's not really much to look at. 73 The Sharp Trial Launch to Victory. It's basically an auto-scroller, but with a bit of a twist. The platform you're on has a hoppy cat trapped inside, and you'll need to jump at the right time to get a power-up or 10 flower coins. The level is admittedly a little bit boring at times, but it does spice it up at times, and the 10 flower coin challenges are really cool. cool. The Wonder Effect turns you into a hoppy cat yourself, which is a really cool transformation. You just jump around for a bit and it's pretty fun. 72. Fluff Puff Peak's Flying Battleship. It's an actual auto-scroller, and this one is pretty good. The main mechanics here are these firework enemies, and I love them a lot. They're super cool enemies. You'll use them to break bricks to enter pipes or get 10 flower coins or the Wonder Effect. And the Wonder Effect has Bowser firing a laser blast at you, which is just okay. The ending is very underwhelming though. You just run right and hit a switch and there's no boss at all. 71. Secrets of Shava Mansion. This is a neat puzzle stage, involving pushing a bunch of big blocks to doors or to put two broken door pieces together to fix it. It's a pretty cool idea, and the Wonder Effect has you pushing a bunch of blocks out of the way to avoid getting squished by a giant Bowser statue. It's a cool concept for a level, however the slower pace of the level does drag it down for me a little bit. 70. Paddle Isle's Flying Battleship. It's another battleship, and this one is slightly better. You'll be riding a lot of Lakitu clouds, and the level uses them in really cool ways, like avoiding fire burners and bullet bills. It even kind of feels like a Mario Maker level, in a good way of course. The Wonder Effect is Bowser's laser again, but nothing too bad. It's just a shame the quote-unquote boss at the end is so lame. 69. Sunbaked Desert Palace. This one is all over the place, and not in the best way. The level itself is a bit of a mess, mainly avoiding thwomps and fire bars, and the Wonder Effect is also just weird. All it does is make the game run at either twice the speed or half the speed on a cycle. The boss is just Bowser Jr. again, this time with a bunch of water, and it's still quite lame. 68. Deep Magma Bog Flying Battleship. The final battleship in the game, and also the best one. The main gimmick here is these pulleys that put out these Bowser flames and slow down the auto-scroller. It's a really cool concept and executed quite well, this time while also avoiding flying Mecha Koopas and these big fireballs. The Wonder Effect is Bowser's laser for the final time, and it's still quite fun. This is how you pull off an auto-scroller right. 67. Fluff Puff Peak's Palace. A pretty good palace for once. This one involves a lot of pushable pipes and enemies magically spawning in, and the Wonder Effect turns the stage into the shadow aesthetic and turns you into Stretchy Mario, which is always pretty cool to see. The boss fight is alright, I guess. Bowser Jr. transforms the stage into Ice or Honey, and that's it. 66. Deep Magma Bog Palace. The best palace in the game, and this is a great one. It includes a lot of fossil platforms and fireballs, and the Wonder Effect turns you into a Wabba. It's nothing too out of the ordinary, but it's quite fun. And the Bowser Jr. fight is also pretty good. There's a lot of movable semi-solid platforms, Bowser Jr. clones himself, and the stage also turns into the shadow aesthetic. It's a pretty good boss fight. 65. Regular Race Mountaineering. Back to the regular races, and this one is super fun. It's the first one in the game, and therefore not super difficult or anything, but just the frantic nature of this race makes it so much fun. This one has a bunch of everything really, like skedaddlers, sip tracks, and these weird honey blocks. Again, it's a very fun race, but just not the best. 64. Regular Race Spelunking. Very similar to Mountaineering, this one is a bit more difficult since it requires a lot more speed and more precise platforming. The level gets slightly more fun because of this, especially when using the Jet Run badge. It's a very fun one, but I wish it was a tad bit longer. 63. Scram Skedaddlers. I don't know why these Skedaddlers are running away from us, but I like it because it's quite fun chasing them around. Some of them even carry a 10 flower coin, and they also spit seeds at you, which you need to bounce off to get a coin. The Wonder Effect is the raining stars again, which is quite fun, but a little bit on the lame side. It's nothing too special of a level, but it is quite fun. 63. Pokepede Pass. You know Nintendo's getting serious when they add boxing gloves to enemies. The Pokepedes are the main attraction in this level, following a set path and destroying parts of the stage as you go. It's quite a cool enemy, but the level itself is just okay. It's nothing really special. But the Wonder Effect is not great. A bunch of snow starts piling up and there's nothing else that really happens. It's not necessarily a bad Wonder Effect, but just kind of annoying. 61. Jump, Jump, Jump. It's the beat blocks from Mario Galaxy in 2D. Well, kind of. The blocks in this level appear and disappear on the beat of the song, creating a very neat challenge where you have to time your jump to not fall to your doom. It's a simple concept, but the level executes it quite well, and it has a nice flow to it. 60. Ninja Jump Party. It surely is a party in here, and you'll surely be doing a lot of jumping. I really like the entire vibe of this level, and the concept is pretty cool. Jumping on a beat, collecting Wonder tokens and 10 flower coins, all while listening to the bopping song is quite enjoyable. But there's nothing really else to this level, and it's also a very short one. It's fun, but depth-wise it doesn't have much to offer. 59. The Final Trial Sip Track Dash. If you like fast, then this is the level for you. You'll mainly be riding on these sip tracks, avoiding clouds clouds, copycats, and a bit more, and it's pretty cool that you have two different paths for this level, a normal path and the one for the wonder effect. Speaking of, the wonder effect turns you into a copycat, and I really love using this form since he jumps so ridiculously high. It's quite a fun level all around, but there's not really much to this one. 58. Valley full of snoodles. I really like these snoodle guys. They bounce around a lot and avoiding them can be tricky because of their unpredictable nature. There's also a bunch of these soap things that you can bounce on, which is quite fun to do, but the wonder effect is not good. All it does is slow the level down a bit, and that's it. It's not really fun to play the game at this speed. If anything, it makes this level worse because of the slow speed. 57. Armads on the roll. This kind of feels like just your typical desert stage, but it does have some cool stuff going on. There's a lot of armads to avoid, and they're pretty cool enemies, but the wonder effect is again quite disappointing. The stage plays at twice the speed and nothing else. At least it's more fun than half speed, but it's just such a lame wonder effect. The level is still fun, but the wonder effect could have been a lot better. 56. Roller Koopa Derby. That's right, Koopas now have roller skates, and my god do they look so cool. You'll mainly have to avoid the Koopas or use your shells to get some secrets. It's really fun seeing all of these Koopas rolling around, and it's quite an enjoyable level, but I'm not the biggest fan of the wonder effect. A bunch of platforms spawn in that are only visible when you're near them, and it makes this section a bit more tedious to navigate than I wished. 55. Muncher Fields. Similar to the stage from Mario Bros. 3, this level has a bunch of munchers, as the name suggests. You'll mostly be playing in the background for the first half, but later in the level you'll be getting a star and running across munchers at the beginning of the level. It's a very cool reference to the stage from Mario Bros. 3. The wonder effect is pretty great as well, turning the level dark and making the semi-solid platforms come to life. This entire level is just so weird and also a tad bit forgettable, but it's still quite fun. 54. Here come the hoppos. A level all about the wholesome hoppos. You'll be guiding them into holes and bouncing on them to get some rewards or progress in the level, and they can even take out enemies with no hassle. The wonder effect is just okay though. A bunch of hoppos spawn in, including one big one carrying the wonder seed. It's quite fun to use the hoppos to your advantage in this level, and it makes it a very memorable one. 53. Pipe Rock Plateau Special Bounce Bounce Bounce. Another stage with the hoppos, and this one is much more difficult. It involves a lot of bouncing on hoppos, rolling on spikes, and there's not much room for error. It's a pretty fun and bite-sized level, but I feel like it ends a bit too soon. The entire sequence is basically just bouncing on the same two hoppos the entire time, and while it's enjoyable, it's also pretty basic. 52. Sunbaked Desert Special Pole Block Allure. If you like climbing poles, then I guess this level is for you, but it's also an auto-scroller, so I guess that makes it worse, but that's not really true, because the level scrolls at a decent enough pace so that it's still quite fun. And there's also quite a lot going on here, like avoiding armads, mumsies, and bouncing on blooms, or even having to avoid them. It can get especially nerve-wracking near the end where you have to climb upwards. It's a pretty fun level, despite being an auto-scroller. 51. The Anglefish Trawl Ready Aim Fly. These anglefish are no joke, as they will target you and launch at full speed out of the water. It makes them quite fun to avoid, and the level's terrain can make for quite some interesting challenges. And the wonder effect has you bouncing on a lot of anglefish, which is a pretty good time. It's nothing too special of a level though, but the anglefish do spice it up a fair bit. 50. The Midway Trawl Hop to It. Going up and up, that's the extent of what you do here. Of course, there's a bit more to it. You'll mainly be avoiding hoppycats, but you're also chasing this hoppycat that jumps insanely high. It seems to get out of reach every time, but if you manage to kill it, you'll get the Wonder Flower, and it turns you into a hoppycat yourself. This time the level has you bouncing on clouds, and it's pretty fun. 49. Springs in a Twilight Forest. Seeing a level in a Mario game with this gorgeous shadow aesthetic is insanely cool. The level mainly features these springs that will stretch upward when you get close. They're pretty cool enemies, and the level makes you avoid them in some clever ways. And the wonder effect is just incredible. It turns you into a stretchy version of yourself, and you can hold down to crouch and return to normal size, also making coins and the wonder seed fall down from the sky. It's a fantastic wonder effect and a great level overall. 48. The Desert Mystery. It surely is a mystery why there's a gigantic temple buried on the ground, but oh well. Regardless, this wonder effect is freaking cool, having you chase the wonder seed throughout the entire temple, and it's quite a rush to get the seed before you get crushed by the walls. The main level is also pretty good, having a bunch of mummies which you can unwrap to defeat. It's super satisfying to do, and the level is quite fun. 47. An Uncharted Area Wubba Ruins. Man, I sure do love some swimming in nasty green slime, and that perfectly describes what this level is all about. You'll also have to avoid wobbas and even kongs while swimming through the goo, making it even more interesting. And the wonder effect turns you into a wobba, which is by far one of the best transformations. It is so much fun sticking on the walls and stuff, and he's quite fast, making it even better. It's a little bit of a slow level, but nothing too bad. 46. Color Switch Dungeon. The on-off switches make a return for Mario Maker, and they're used in really creative ways here. You'll use them to swap the direction of these grind rails or semi-solid platforms, and the entire level is shaped like a puzzle involving collecting keys, which really fits the setting. And the wonder effect has Cosmic Mario chasing you, but he's relatively slow, so he won't really be a nuisance. It's a very creative stage, even if I'm not the biggest fan of the puzzly nature of it. 45. Downpour Uproar. A water stage done right. Instead of being underwater the entire time, you instead have clouds that rain a lot of water, which you can swim in. They also turn on and off periodically, which means you have to swim quite fast. And the wonder effect is so freaking cool. A thunderstorm occurs and you have to avoid lightning bolts. It's a very cool sequence and a really neat stage overall. 44. Jewel Block Cave. The good old drill suit. It's so much fun to use, and this level has a lot of opportunities to use it, making it a very fun level. There's once again a lot of kongs to avoid, and the wonder effect summons a gigantic kong which you have to outrun. It's a super intriguing sequence, and it really gives you a rush of adrenaline, making it even better. It's such a simple concept, but it works remarkably well, and the level itself is also quite fun. 43. Fluff Puff Peak Special Climb to the Beat. The much more difficult version of the beat block stage from earlier, and my god, is that an understatement, because this level is freaking brutal. The platforming is much more challenging, and some of the jumps are ridiculously tight. You basically have to play perfect here, because if you make just one tiny mistake, well, be ready to kiss the poison. It's a super fun stage though, and a really neat challenge. 42. Cruising with Linking Lifts. It's another semi-auto-scrolling stage, this time with these platforms made up of pieces that decay over time. These platforms can be replenished by hitting these pieces and making the platforms longer. It's a really cool mechanic used in quite clever ways for some 10 flower coins. It's hardly even noticeable that this level is an auto-scroller in the first place, though the wonder effect is kinda lame. It's just a bunch of big platform pieces and some Lakitus throw wonder tokens on the stage. 41. Up Shroom Down Shroom. Damn, it's like we're in Mushroom Heaven or something, but man, does this level's background look dope. The level starts off like any regular level would, nothing too crazy. There's the drill suit again, which is always a great time, but the wonder effect is just completely nuts. It's probably the weirdest song in the game, and the mushrooms even bounce up and down to the beat. I know it's super strange and still nothing overly special, but it's fun enough. 40. Where the Roombas Rule. Nintendo with the over-exaggerated usage of the letter R once again, but well. Roombas sound scary, but they're really not, to be honest. All they really do is roll around, but you can teach them a lesson by drilling right through them when they're not expecting it. And if you really want to teach them a lesson for good, well, you can do so by rolling straight through them as a freaking spiky bowling ball. This is definitely one of the coolest transformations in the game, let's be honest. 39. Angry Spikes and Sinking Pipes. I don't know what the spikes are angry at, but I guess we have to put up with it. But don't worry for too long, because the spikes are having a freaking dance party. It's a super catchy song, and just the surprise factor of it makes it a very cool wonder effect. The rest of the level is also pretty good, even if it's nothing too out of the ordinary. It's mostly just avoiding spikes and a lot of pushable pipes, and nothing really else, but it's a fun time. 38. Wavy Ride Through the Magma Tube. I don't know why, but for some reason I really enjoy this level. I think it's just because of the whole setting with the moving platform and disconnected pieces, and I mean, of course you have that incredible wonder effect with the giant spike statue launching huge bullets at you. It's really easy, but so damn cool, and my god, this level can get quite brutal because there's so much to worry about, like the fire spikes and the platforms going into the lava. It's a very tense stage overall, so much so you hardly even notice it's kind of like an auto-scroller. 37. Light Switch Mansion. A level with a very creative gimmick, being hanging lights lighting up the floor on a timer. You can reset the timer by hitting these blocks, and it makes for a very interesting set piece, especially because parts of the floor move around later in the level, but nothing in this level beats that completely unexpected wonder effect at the end. Seeing King Boo make an appearance is amazing and just comes out of the freaking blue. It's only a shame he's not an actual boss in the game, but this sequence does somewhat make up for it, I suppose. 36. Beware of the Rifts. A level that gives off a lot of Mario Galaxy vibes, and I love it. There's a lot of these dark matter rifts that hurt you if touched, and they move around in very unpredictable patterns. There's even a bunch of these really weird wonder buds activating the most random things, which really fits with the level. And the Wonder effect has Cosmic Mario chasing you again, but again he's quite slow, so it's not really challenging at all. It is a very cool stage though. 35. Fungi Mine Special Dangerous Donut Ride. Man, this level is tough, but I love the challenge here. You have to avoid several enemies like Sparkies while riding on donuts, and the timing here can get very nifty, especially near the midpoint because a lot of Sparkies drop onto the platform. And for the Wonder effect, you fly down this long gap and have to avoid moving poison walls and falling enemies. And again, the timing here can get pretty tough. It's quite a difficult level, but very enjoyable and quite unique as well. 34. Rolling Ball Hall. Yep, there's certainly some rolling balls here, rolling spike balls in fact. The majority of this level is built around the spike balls, and due to the hilly terrain, they are quite fun to avoid. And the Wonder effect tilts the stage and has some gigantic spike balls rolling towards you. They really nailed the Indiana Jones temple feeling with this one, especially considering these spike balls are a 1-hit KO. 33. Deep Magma Box Special Solar Roller. If you like bowling, then this surely is the level for you. But this level is no joke at all, so you might not want to. There's a lot of tight jumps to make, and some parts where the timer can get very close, so you really cannot make a single mistake or else you are doomed. And especially near the end with the dragons, your jumps have to be almost perfect or you're not gonna make it. It's a pretty damn hard challenge, but I love it. 32. Another uncharted area, Swaying Ruins. Yep, it sure is a lot of swaying, and it sounds like it would be really boring, but it's actually a really fun stage. There's a lot of mummies and sliding stones that get in the way, and sometimes you have to use the sliding stones to enter a door, which is actually necessary to unlock the real exit. The Wonder effect makes the entire floor slippery, and it's pretty fun. 31. Dragon Boneyard. For some reason, there's a lot of dinosaur fossils here, but I like it. And the level has a bunch of them rotating, and later it even turns into a semi-auto scroller, but it's quite fun, and it keeps you engaged the entire way through. And then the Wonder effect does a complete 180 and turns the fossil into a freaking dragon. It's a very interesting set piece and just looks sick as well. This is such an intriguing level from start to end, and the completely unexpected Wonder effect only makes it better. 30. Condarts Away. It's always the pesky birds ruining our day, and these are no joke, because not only do they dive down, but they dive down like they're after you for lunch. And the quick dive down makes them very fun to avoid, especially while walking on the wall. And yes, you heard that right, the Wonder effect makes you walk on the freaking wall, and it's amazing. And the fact that you have to lure the Condart into the bricks to get the Wonder Seed is so clever. Once again, Nintendo making use of their enemies to the max, and it pays off brilliantly. 29. Rargs in the Ruins. Such a creative name for an enemy, Nintendo. Jokes aside, the Rargs are not the only cool things in this level. You've also got these blocks that appear or disappear depending on whether you're close to them. They're used in very smart ways throughout the level, even as a rotating platform, which creates a very cool challenge because of their behavior. And they also play a huge role during the Wonder effect, where they create a semi-visible maze, and because of the Rargs, you really have to time when to start moving to avoid getting hurt. It's such a creative combo of mechanics. 28. Swamp Pipe Crawl. A level built around a very clever mechanic, being pushable pipes. You'll use them in many different ways, like creating a functional pipe to the background or summoning the Wonder Flower. It's a very neat concept executed in cool ways, helped even more by the Shavas trying to work against you. And the Wonder effect is also pretty good. It's the moving pipes again and pretty basic, but the poison makes it a lot more interesting. It's a very creative level, and the setting is also super cool. 27. Bull Rush Coming Through. An extremely fun level with one of the coolest new enemies in the game, the Bull Rush. They charge at you and ram through blocks at super speed, and they're also easy to fool, which is always fun to do. It's nothing too hectic for a while, until the Wonder effect comes in and suddenly a giant Bull Rush stampede chases after you with no way to stop it. It's a ridiculously cool Wonder effect and comes just straight out of nowhere. Definitely one of the most memorable ones. 26. Bull Rush Express. A slightly better Bull Rush level, mainly due to the race difficulty and better executed level. You'll be riding them throughout the entire level and have to react quickly to stay on them. And I really mean that, because one mistake can end in your demise. It's a very fast and short level, which is highly appreciated, but as a result, there's not really much to say. 25. High Voltage Gauntlet. Most of the levels in Mario games taking place in darkness are not too great, but this one definitely is, and it's due to a mechanic we haven't really seen before: electricity. The electric currents light up parts of the room, and because this level has a lot of electricity, there's never really moments you're in complete darkness, which makes it all the better. And if that wasn't already good enough, the Wonder effect even turns you into Metal Mario, and you even walk slower and jump lower and can conduct electricity. It's super cool and a very solid level, level. 24. Outmoe Valley. These Outmoes look super cute until you see them kicking ice blocks at you and all that cuteness quickly fades away. It's a simple concept for an enemy executed in very decent ways in this level. Not only do the ice blocks get in your way, but you also have to ride some of them to get to 10 flower coins or the top of the flagpole. And man, that wonder effect is just insane. The fact that a giant snowball erupts from the ground and freaking demolishes the entire stage is so badass. 23. Countdown to Drop Down. By far one of the most creative platforms Nintendo has come up with. This one allows you to step it on the number of times it displays before it loses collision, and it combined with the metal piranha plants and lakitus make for a very creative level. Not only do you have to use the platforms themselves to get some 10 flower coins, but later in the level you're on a bigger platform with spinies being thrown by lakitu, adding a pretty nice tension to the level. And the wonder effect is really cool. You fly down the abyss and have to chase the wonder seed. It's so much fun and a very creative stage overall. 22. Taili's Toxic Pond. Man, I really like these Tailis. They're such cool enemies. I mean, come on, they run around on the ceiling and drop down spike balls, and you can even pull from their vines and make a big leap forward. And they're used very cleverly, especially near the end where the only ground you have are these flip blocks. And my god, that wonder effect just comes out of nowhere. Having a quiz in a 2D Mario game is so random, but so cool. And it still fits with the level's theme since it uses the Tailis as the answers. This level is just a blast. 21. Nosher Lair. A very fast-paced level, which I really enjoy. There's a bunch of Noshers that eat out the level in front of you, and as a result, you have to be quick to progress or get stuff like power-ups, 10 flower coins, or even the Wonder Flower. And the wonder effect is just sick. A giant horde of Noshers chase you down, and it creates a very cool tension by having to hit them with pow blocks. This is such a cool level. 20. Bluebird Roost. Your classic underground level, but spiced up in really good ways. There's a lot of bluebirds, which shoot arrows that make temporary platforms when they hit a wall. This means you have to make it to safe ground before the platforms decay, and because the stage is vertically built, it works remarkably well. The level is designed really well, and it's also the one to introduce the bubble flower, which is always fun to use. The wonder effect is also pretty great, involving bouncing on giant rainbow bubbles. It's a very fun level overall. 19. Pedal All Special Way of the Goomba. It's a level fully based around the Goomba's restricted moveset. There's a lot of thwomps to avoid, spike balls to hide from behind some trees, and much more. It's quite a difficult level as well, but not in an unfair way. At the end, you'll even bounce on bubbles. This is a very creative level, and it also doesn't drag on for too long, which is great. 18. Mama Mouthful. It's a slightly better Goomba transformation level, mainly because there's more actual level to play this time. The level is all about Mamas, who can pretty much eat anything including Goombas and snails, and later you turn into a Goomba yourself and have to avoid the Mamas by hiding behind trees. It's a bit more creative than a level from the special world, and has a bit more substance as well. 17. The Hoppycat Troll Hop Hop and Away. By far one of the most creative uses of enemies we've ever seen in a Mario game. The Hoppycats are kinda like the skip squeaks from 3D World, jumping when you jump, and because of their spiky back you have to time when to jump and when to pass under them. There's a lot of clever setups with them, making for a very enjoyable level. And the wonder effect summons humongous Hoppycats destroying the terrain like it's nothing. Once again, the timing aspect of them is put to great use in this level. 16. A final Uncharted area, Poison Ruins. Rising Poison is the game here, and you have to make your way through these ruins with bone platforms and many different enemies to avoid. It's quite a cool sequence and creates a nice rush of adrenaline. And the wonder effect turns you into a Wabba again, this time with this very cool section with circular platforms where you have to make the poison in the center disappear. It's a very fun stage all around, even though the concept is very simple. 15. Piranha Plants on Parade. Probably Mario Wonder's most iconic level, and for good reasons. The level starts off like your typical forest stage, and it's already quite fun, with walking piranha plants and even a surprising shift to a background level. But my god, the wonder effect catches you completely off guard. It starts a catchy song and the piranha plants in the level sing along with it. Now that's so cute and super cool as well. It made an already very solid level even better in the best possible way. 14. The semi-final test Piranha Plant Reprise. A slightly better Piranha Plant level, probably only because the song is a bit more catchy and it's quite a bit more difficult. It's an auto-scroller, and my god, does this level let it know that it's an auto-scroller, because it scrolls ridiculously fast near the end. There's also a lot of piranha plants and bullet bills to avoid, and even though it's an auto-scroller, they've managed to make it a blast to play. 13. Pole Block Passage. Instead of just climbing poles, you now spawn them by hitting blocks, and they're on a timer, so make sure to hurry up. This works wonderfully as as a mechanic, as the level is mostly built vertically. But even when it's not, the pole blocks are still used in very clever ways, and the wonder effect is really cool. A bunch of poles get spawned in and you have to collect wonder tokens by climbing them. This level is very fun. 12. Up and down with puffy lifts. Another new platform type, and once again it's a very cool one. This one slowly disintegrates while you or an enemy steps on it. The level makes use of this platform in many creative ways, like having enemies that can't walk off ledges or having them over a row of spikes. And the wonder effect is just ridiculous, turning you into a puffy lift yourself. And you have this very cool stage where you have to guide a spike ball into destroying blocks. This is such a creative level. 11. The final test, Wonder Gauntlet. A mad mix of a bunch of wonder effects and quite a difficult level as well. You'll be riding a weird pipe, avoiding falling pipes, sproings, sugar stars, missile mags, riding a ship, and so much more. It all happens so quickly, and while it can feel a bit messy, it is super cool to see all these wonder effects in one level, and you're being given this beautiful sense of excitement all throughout this level. 10. Pull, turn, burn. The pulleys are used to the max here, since you'll use them to lower these fire wheels to avoid getting hurt. It's a very clever idea and executed in very creative ways, since you need to get several 10 flower coins before the fire obscures the path. And the wonder effect is really crazy. It basically makes you invincible and you can freaking swim through lava and even walk on lava geysers, which just looks sick. It's a very creative level overall, even if it could have been slightly longer. 9. Hot, hot, hot. By far one of the coolest, or hottest, new mechanics in the game, being the burning rocks. They ignite from time to time, and you can extinguish them using water from your trunk or these pots. And to pair that with these popcorn-like enemies which jump up when the rocks are on fire is super creative and so cool. The wonder effect is also quite cool. A bunch of water bubbles fall from the sky and you have to collect wonder tokens while swimming through them. And there's even a secret exit in this really dope looking shadow version of the stage. This one is great. 8. Knucklefest Bowser's Blazing Beats. If you're up for some boxing, then this is the place for you. There's a lot of flaming knuckles punching in rhythm, making them quite fun to avoid. There's also a new variant of bullet bills, being the long homing bills, and they're quite interesting as well. And of course you have that absolutely slapping song with so many things going on, and it's such a cool sequence. This level is so damn cool, and a great build up to the final boss as well. 7. Blooms of the Desert Skies. This might look like your typical athletic stage, but my god, it is so good. You'll encounter a lot of these bloom enemies, which are big balloon creatures that can bounce basically anything back about 1,000 blocks. They're mainly used in this level to bounce enemies into you, which is a very clever use of enemies that we haven't really ever seen before in a Mario game. And my god, that wonder effect is just amazing. It turns you into Big Balloon Mario and you can freely float around and bounce off everything. It's a little bit annoying sometimes, but so much fun. 6. Missile Mag Mayhem. Another new variant of the bullet bill, being this extra long missile mag that sinks down when you step on it. They're used in various ways, mainly to traverse across a large gap and make it to safe land before the mags have sunk completely. It's a super creative enemy and they're used to their full potential in this level. And the wonder effect is really cool as well, summoning an extremely long missile made up of multiple missile mags. It's mostly intriguing due to the incredible visuals, but my god, it is still a bunch of fun. 5. Evade the Seeker Bullet Bills. You know this level is serious when the title has an exclamation mark at the end, and they're not kidding. These bullet bills will hunt you down until you die, literally, and it's so freaking cool. There's also giant Seeker bullet bills later in the level, and my god, the wonder effect is just incredible. You just stand on this platform going about your business, and suddenly a freaking ship comes out of the lava with a cannon shooting cannonballs. It's such a cool wonder effect and a bunch of fun. 4. The Final Battle, Bowser's Rage Stage. It's the level where you finally fight Bowser, and my god, is it a phenomenal one. The level itself is basically a collection of wonder effects, like the spike ball, fossils, dragon, and even singing piranha plants make a return. It's a really cool build up to the boss, and Bowser himself is also just amazing. It's a very rhythm-based fight, and even though it's still too easy, it is a bunch of fun and super satisfying to hit Bowser on the beat of the song. After all those disappointing Bowser Jr. fights, it is amazing to finally see a great boss battle. 3. Cosmic Hoppos. A more interesting Hoppo level since it's vertically based. And since Hoppos are very bouncy boys, you have to use them to scale up a small mountainous level, and it's really fun to do. This level also has the best wonder effect in the entire game. Getting launched by a Hoppo and into space looks so dope, and it's super fun to float through space because of the obstacles and Hoppos who can bounce you into the spikes. This level is just phenomenal. 2. Flight of the Blooms. God, this level is so so much fun. This one is quite similar to the other bloom level, but instead you have a lot more platforming relying on the blooms themselves, as you'll need to cross large gaps by bouncing on them. The 10 flower coins are also really creative, having to bounce on blooms or even dodge them sometimes. And the wonder effect is just really cool as well. A gigantic bloom comes in going to the right, and later an even bigger one going up. This level is just a blast from start to end. And number 1 is the final test, Badge Marathon. Yeah, it's a little bit anticlimactic to see the very final level at the top spot, but it deserves it. It's by far the most difficult level in the game, and it makes use of the game's badges in so many creative ways. You'll really be tested on your skills for these badges, and even though it should have been a little bit more difficult in my opinion, this level is so much fun and super satisfying to complete. Alright, but that was it for this video. I've had a blast making this one because, as I already said in the intro, this is my favorite 2D Mario game now, and it is such a fun game. There's honestly a very small amount of levels which are not fun, and the rest of them are either just okay or a blast to play. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!